These are the stories making the headlines at this hour. South Korea has imposed new sanctions on ships, individuals, and entities involved in illegal activities related to North Korea's nuclear and missile development. Such sanctions on vessels are the first of their kind in 8 years. North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee has met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow amid deepening military ties. Putin's possible visit to Pyongyang is among the topics likely to have been discussed. The U.S. military has launched a third strike against Yemen's Houthi militants in the Red Sea, destroying 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles. Washington says it has also seized Iranian weapons intended for Houthis. Good afternoon. We start with South Korea's new sanctions against North Korea. Seoul has blacklisted multiple ships, individuals, and entities involved in illegal activities related to North Korea's nuclear and missile development. It is the first time in 8 years that such sanctions have been imposed on such vessels. Yeun has our top story.
South Korea said it would independently impose a new set of sanctions on North Korea as it seeks to prevent the regime's illicit maritime activities and squeeze its funding sources. Newly added to the blacklist are 11 ships, 2 individuals, and 3 entities involved in activities that violate UN Security Council resolutions, such as maritime transfers with North Korean vessels and the import of refined oil or coal smuggling to the north. Seoul's foreign ministry said Wednesday that North Korea has been procuring materials and funds, including oil, through these activities in order to develop its nuclear and missile programs. It also said this is the first time in about 8 years that the government is imposing sanctions on ships since March 2016. Of the 11 ships placed on the list, South Korea is the first country to issue sanctions on 9 of them. With the sanctions now in place, the captain of these ships must have domestic entry approval from the regulatory authority before entering South Korea. As for the blacklisted individuals and entities, those wishing to engage in financial transactions with them must obtain permission from the governor of the Bank of Korea or the Financial Services Commission. The latest sanctions come just 3 days after North Korea fired an intermediate-range ballistic missile, which could be capable of targeting U.S. military bases in Guam or Japan. The regime claimed the next day that it has successfully tested a solid-fuel missile carrying a hypersonic warhead, which makes such missiles harder to intercept. Pyongyang has been raising tensions on the Korean peninsula in recent weeks, with its leader Kim Jong-un saying that he has no intention of avoiding war with South Korea. Arirang News.
North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee has met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow amid deepening military ties. Putin's possible visit to Pyongyang is among the topics likely to have been discussed. Yeun reports.
On Tuesday, the Kremlin said that North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee held rare talks in Moscow with President Vladimir Putin. During the meeting, Choi briefed Putin about her earlier meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. No details were given regarding the talks, but arms deals are among the possible items on the agenda, as well as Putin's potential visit to Pyongyang. According to Choi, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un invited President Putin to North Korea amid deepening ties since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine.
The fact that there's a meeting of foreign ministers now to strengthen their friendship once again proves the friendly relations between Russia and North Korea, which have a long history and tradition of friendship, move forward with energy in accordance with the plans of the two leaders.
The two ministers also discussed the implementation of agreements reached during Kim's visit last September. Military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang has been deepening, with the North providing Russia with arms for use in its war with Ukraine, in exchange for Russia providing technical assistance for the North's weapons program. The Kremlin called the North its closest neighbor and partner. The United States and its allies have condemned what they say have been significant North Korean missile deliveries to Russia to help its war effort. But both Russia and North Korea have repeatedly dismissed the criticism. Yeun, Arirang News.
The top nuclear envoys of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan will hold talks on North Korea's latest military provocations amid its growing ties with Russia. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry on Tuesday, Special Representative for Korean Peninsula Peace and Security Affairs Kim Jong-un will meet with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts, Chung Park and Hiroyuki Yamatsu, for three-way talks in Seoul on Thursday. On Wednesday, Kim will hold talks with his Japanese counterpart, followed by separate one-on-one talks between Kim and Park on Thursday morning. The ministry says the three sides will discuss Pyongyang's recent provocations and military cooperation with Moscow, as well as response measures. South Korea, the U.S. and Japan held a trilateral maritime exercise in waters off Jeju Island from Monday to Wednesday in a show of force against escalating threats from North Korea. Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said Wednesday that a total of 9 ships participated in the exercise, including Seoul's Aegis destroyer Sejong the Great, Washington's aircraft carrier the USS Carl Vinson, and Tokyo's Kongo-class destroyer. This is reportedly the largest number of ships taking part in a drill by the three countries. The exercise was aimed at improving deterrence capabilities against North Korea's nuclear and maritime security threats, including the ability to intercept the transportation of weapons of mass destruction. The three countries established a new multi-year exercise plan in December. South Korea's latest sanctions come a day after North Korea called for labeling South Korea as its #1 hostile country in its constitution while unleashing war threats. In response to that, President Yoon warned Pyongyang of retaliation multiple times stronger upon any provocation. Kim Do-yeon reports.
Just hours after North Korea's state media reported on Kim Jong-un's decision to constitutionally label South Korea as the regime's #1 hostile country, President Yoon didn't shy away when hitting back with remarks of his own.
이는 북한 정권 스스로가 반민족적이고 반역사적 집단이라는 사실을 자인한 것입니다.
On the contrary, South Korea's constitution says the nation's territory is all of the Korean peninsula and that it shall seek peaceful unification based on democratic order. The comments came at a planned cabinet meeting where the president usually broadcasts his opening statements live. There he also reiterated that the nation is ready to retaliate against any provocation multiple times stronger. And referring to the statement that Pyongyang will not be recognizing the northern limit line, the de facto inter-Korean maritime border, Yoon said it's an attempt to make people anxious and divide South Korea. In fact, he called for unity to fight against the propaganda.
전쟁이냐 평화냐를 협박하는 재래의 위장 평화 전술은 더 이상 통하지 않습니다. 우리 국민과 정부는 하나가 되어 북한 정권의 기만 전술과 선전선동을 물리쳐 나아가야 합니다.
And amidst the exchange of harsh words, he underscored that the true threat is not the people of North Korea, but its regime.
북한 주민들은 우리와 똑같이 자유와 인권과 번영을 누릴 권리를 가진 우리와 같은 민족입니다. 우리는 이들을 따뜻하게 포용해 나가야 합니다.
And despite North Korea's deciding to shut down all agencies related to inter-Korean relations, President Yoon ordered for more work to be done by South Korea's Unification Ministry. Specifically, he said the nation will do more to help North Korean defectors settle in South Korea and said the ministry needs to legally designate a day to celebrate the North Korean defectors. He also called on the foreign ministry to cooperate with the global community to help and protect the defectors. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
President Yoon has called for measures to make the country's capital market more competitive and supportive of people's livelihoods. This came at the year's 4th policy briefing by the government, made open to members of the public. Focusing on the theme of finance, the government said it should double the amount of savings exempt from tax for individual savings accounts. Seoul is also preparing debt management programs and interest reduction plans, along with measures to protect individual investors in the stock market. Yoon said a lack of competition has also led to record high profits for financial firms, while everyday citizens suffer from high interest rates. He further called for ways to make the financial market fairer and more competent globally. The annual World Economic Forum is currently underway in Davos, with geopolitical issues in Ukraine and the Middle East taking center stage. North Korea's increased threats were also discussed. Kim Jong-un has the details.
Global leaders are discussing concerns over geopolitical tensions as they gather in Davos, Switzerland. Leaders from around the world for the second year in a row discussed how to end the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Tuesday. The NATO Secretary General said, quote, "Support for Ukraine is not charity, it's an investment in our own security," promising more military support for Ukraine. President Zelensky also spoke at the forum.
We must gain air superiority for Ukraine just as we have gained superiority at the Black Sea. We can do it. Partners know what's needed and in what quantities.
Zelensky added that frozen Russian assets should be directed toward rebuilding Ukraine. Another key topic was the situation in Gaza and the Red Sea attacks by the Houthi rebels. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani said the current situation is extremely concerning.
We see like it's the most dangerous escalation right now because it's not affecting only the region, it's affecting the global trade as well.
He said the world needs to focus on the main issue, which is Gaza, to get everything else to calm down, while stressing diplomacy is preferable over any military resolution, referring to the US and UK retaliations on the Houthis. Escalating North Korean provocations were also discussed at the forum. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said North Korea worries him, but stressed the more others seek to undermine the international system through violence and coercion, the more it brings US allies and partners closer. The 54th World Economic Forum annual meeting will last until Friday. Kim Jong-un, Arirang News.
The U.S. military has launched a third strike against Yemen's Houthi militants in the Red Sea, destroying 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles. Washington says it has also seized Iranian weapons intended for Houthis. Lee Sing-jae has more.
The U.S. Central Command says its military has launched a third strike against Houthi militants in Yemen, destroying 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles set to be launched at ships in the Red Sea. Speaking to Reuters, 2 unnamed U.S. officials said the preemptive strikes were carried out as the missiles created an imminent threat to commercial vessels and U.S. warships in the area. The latest strikes come after a second successful Houthi attack on a commercial ship in 2 days, after the militant group claimed responsibility for attacking a Maltese-flagged bulk carrier on Tuesday. The U.S. and the U.K. have attacked dozens of missile and radar sites used by Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen since January 11th. The U.S. Central Command also announced on Tuesday that the U.S. Navy had seized Iranian weapons that were intended for Houthis in Yemen. The Navy seized ballistic missile and cruise missile components from a vessel off the coast of Somalia last week. The Central Command said that with the latest seizure, it's clear that Iran continues the shipment of advanced lethal aid to the Houthis, a clear violation of UNSC resolutions. The raid was conducted using helicopters and drones participating in the operation. Despite the ongoing operations to stop the Iran-backed rebels from attacking commercial ships in the Red Sea, Houthis have claimed responsibility for attacking a Greek-owned Maltese-registered cargo ship in the Red Sea. The militant group spokesman said that the Yemeni rebels targeted the ship with naval missiles on Tuesday as it was heading to Israel, resulting in a direct hit. The bulk carrier was traveling north to the Suez Canal when it was attacked, but there were no reports of injuries. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Israel and Hamas have reached an agreement to deliver more aid to Gaza and give medicine to the hostages held by Hamas. The deal was mediated by Qatar and France on Tuesday local time. France's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the negotiations have been going on for weeks. The medical packages will be delivered to 45 hostages. In exchange, Israel will allow more humanitarian aid into Gaza. The medicine for the captives is now in Doha, Qatar, and will be transported on Wednesday to Egypt in preparation before delivery to the captives. Hamas seized about 240 people during its attacks on October 7th, with 132 hostages thought to still be captive. Meanwhile, the U.S. expressed hope for ongoing talks aimed at releasing more hostages. South Korea recorded more than $1.1 billion of defense exports to Poland last year. Data from the Korea International Trade Association on Wednesday showed a 184% jump from the year before. That mainly on the back of exports of F-A-50 fighter jets and weapons such as K-9 howitzers. Also, with greater shipments of chemical products, total exports to Poland in 2023 were more than $9 billion, up nearly 15% on year. That made it South Korea's second largest export market in Europe after Germany. Over in LA, where the annual Emmys took place, Korean-American actor Yeun has added another award to his collection, taking home the Outstanding Lead Actor Award for his role in Beef. The Netflix series won a total of 8 categories, including Outstanding Directing for creator Lee Sang-jin. Yeun has his report.
South Korea-born American actor Yeun has captured the first Emmy of his career for his role in the Netflix series Beef. He won the Outstanding Lead Actor Award in a limited series or TV movie at the 75th Primetime Emmy Awards, which took place on Monday local time in Los Angeles. Beef is a comedy drama where Yeun stars as Danny Cho, a second-generation immigrant working as a building contractor who becomes embroiled in a road rage confrontation.
Well, our goal was never to silo ourselves as separate. We want to connect with everybody. We're telling human stories.
While talking about the impact of the series, Yeun also expressed his gratefulness to be living in a time where differences are appreciated.
Honestly, I feel blessed that we live in this time where we can all kind of see past ways in which we separate ourselves, celebrate those, but also come together. It feels really nice.
Yeun's co-star Ali Wong won Outstanding Lead Actress in the same category. Beef won a total of 8 awards at the Emmys, including Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series and Outstanding Directing for the show's creator, Korean-American Lee Sang-jin. Yeun has picked up multiple awards in the U.S. for his role in Beef. The Emmys comes just over a week after the Golden Globes, where Yeun and Ali Wong became the first actors of Asian descent to win in their categories. He also took home Best Actor in a limited series at the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeun, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In the United States, former President Donald Trump is attending a trial in New York over the defamation of E. Jean Carroll. He is accused of making defamatory statements against Carroll in 2019. This comes just one day after Trump won the Iowa Republican caucuses. Both Trump and Carroll attended a Tuesday trial where opening statements and jury selection was made. Carroll, who is seeking $10 million in damages, is expected to testify when trial resumes on Wednesday local time. A separate trial last year found Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll, but not of raping her, and also found Trump liable for defaming Carroll in statements made in 2022. Elizabeth Jean Carroll is a former magazine columnist who alleged that Trump raped her in a department store in mid-1990s, then defamed her by denying any wrongdoings. In the US, where a suspected serial killer already charged with multiple murders of sex workers on Long Island, New York last year, was charged again on Tuesday with the fourth killing. 60-year-old Rex Heumann, a Manhattan architect, was charged Tuesday at the Suffolk County Courthouse on Long Island in connection with the death of a 25-year-old Maureen Brainard Barnes, whose remains were found near Gilgo Beach in 2010. Heumann was charged last July with the first-degree murder of 3 sex workers in their 20s, whose bodies were among the 11 sets of human remains found in 2010 and 2011 in the same area. The new charge comes as a result of DNA evidence linking Heumann to the death. He has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. In the Middle East, a report by Iran's state media late on Monday said Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps attacked Israel's spy headquarters in Iraq's Kurdistan region with ballistic missiles. Authorities say 4 people were killed and 6 wounded in the attack. Iran's Revolutionary Guards said the strike was a response to recent military action by Israel. However, Iraq's government condemned the attack for leading to civilian casualties. The IRGC also reported a strike against Islamic State in northern Syria. 2 rare white animals have been spotted in different parts of the globe. A white Omura's whale was captured on video by tourists off the coast of Phuket, Thailand, in what could be the first known instance of an albino Omura's whale. The Thai tour company named the rare whale Thalang. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, a white penguin was found and recorded at the Gabriel Gonzalez Videla base. The female Gentoo penguin is normally characterized by its black and white feathers with a white spot on the top of its head. This rare penguin was found mostly white due to leucism. Leucism is a genetic condition caused by a partial loss of pigmentation, whereas albinism affects all melanin production, meaning a complete lack of pigment. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Winter precipitation is in the forecast across Korea. Southern provinces could see 5 to 20 millimeters of showers. Central regions could see snow instead of rainfall. And until Thursday, mountainous regions of Gangwon-do province could see more than 8 centimeters of snowfall. Meanwhile, East Coast regions stay dry with a dry advisory in place. East of Gangwon-do province will be quite windy as well, but the dry spell should ease with that wintry precipitation. Temperatures will stay above norms in most places. Afternoon highs are slightly lower with the absence of sunshine. Then here in Seoul, tomorrow we'll see a high of 10 degrees Celsius. But for today, Seoul gets up to 3 degrees, Busan topping out at 12 degrees Celsius. And air quality in Incheon and south of Gyeonggi-do province will be bad all day. The warming trend continues through the weekend before a big chill arrives early next week. Meanwhile, those in the east of Gangwon-do province should keep an umbrella handy. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
North Korea has been ramping up its war threats lately, raising questions on how likely is it. Leader Kim Jong-un made clear that there will be one, but not unless his enemy starts aggression first. He had also said he has no intention of avoiding a war, though he wouldn't want that. Some analysts are pointing to these conditional threats to say a war may not be what he truly wants. Rather, he is trying to spur hostility against the South to tighten control over young generations amid an influx of South Korean culture. But increased provocations are real, and some say tensions are rising to the highest level since the Korean War.